Yeah, I'm going to go over a little bit more about the voltage regulator on the it's a Harley-Davidson Sportster. But electrical things seem to be problems on any bike, and I want to call attention to something else. If you see this connector, what I'll do is I'll take one of these ties, and I'll go through the connector. So in other words, if you want, it can't come loose because it's actually connected with this plastic zip tie. So I'll go the extra steps. Now with this on a Harley or whatever, at least in this old Sportster, you got like these 4 circuit breakers. Now I keep this one outside of the little housing it goes into, because this one end is attached to the battery, right? And what I notice is if you take, well, this depends. This year, the 86 to 90 Sportster has that problem with the clutch shell, with the magnets coming off, but there's a fix for it. So I've had the battery out of this a lot of times, and if you pull this wire a little bit, what happens is this circuit breaker pulls out, and then it can short against the frame, So what I do is I wrap it up in extremely heavy racer's tape with a tie around it, and I leave it outside the breaker so it can't short out, and it gives me a lot more room to pull this wire out of the way. If I pull on it, it's not going to pull nothing out. That's just something I do. Now, the regulator wire is attached right here on this circuit breaker right here. It's the one where the battery is attached to. It's the opposite side. And it's a black wire. Now I already pulled the wire through, where the frame is, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's not in the frame, but it just goes down on the opposite side of the oil tank. When you pull that wire out, what you need to do is, if you're putting a new one in, you attach the new wire to the old wire and pull it through. Or if you want to keep the old one, attach a string to the end of the wire. I'll show you what I mean. Like if this wire was attached to this, right, you would unbolt it and it goes down through, and it comes out, at the bottom of the bike, right? And what you do is you attach a string to it when you pull this wire through, and then the string will come out the bottom. So then you got the new wire, you just attach the new wire to the string, right? And you pull it up through the top. Forget to do that stupid little thing. It's going to be a pain in the ass sneaking a wire through there, Just want to point that out too. Yeah, I actually kind of did realize I had another voltage regulator laying around, and these are both from a cell, from a cell in Branford, Connecticut, Route 139, cell warranty services. Both of these are limited lifetime warranty. Usually, I don't know what the hell that means, but I'm not even sure if these are broke. The stator's putting out a little bit low output, but I got a new one coming today, and we're going to find out. But I'm posting this video because I want people who have bikes to have this problem absolutely foolproof. And I bought a stator for 60 bucks. I don't know what brand it is. I don't know. It's from a reputable place, though, I guess. But I got a feeling it's made in China, because what I would recommend, if I would have done this again, if I look and doing some research, Cycle Electric, 2 words, Cycle Electric sells very, very good parts for motorcycles, and their regulator is about $115, and I'm paying 60 bucks for this regulator. And I'm thinking to myself, in some cases, not everything is. Some cases things are just marked up. And usually I find it the case to be when you stick the word Harley-Davidson on a part, it's marked up, and you go to the aftermarket and it's better. But Cycle Electric, it makes very good electronic components for the Harley. So if that price is twice as much than some of the other aftermarket, I bet you it's at least twice as good. So I would recommend going with Cycle Electric. I didn't do that. Now I don't know if both these regulators are bad. They might be. Now in one of them I took off the stator plug, just cut it off, because I'm going to use that as a tester in the future, but I might not ever have a problem. I don't know. Now the other thing is, on the regulator you got these 2 bolts, right, and they attach to the frame. This attaches to the frame. Make sure all this is really clean, and I got some brand new star washers, extra ones, to make sure it's got a good ground. So go to the extra details and make sure the thing is grounded. Now in the frame itself, you can see right there, right here, and right up here. I cleaned off everything right down to the bare metal. But I'm going to use dielectric grease on it, and if you don't know what that is, let me show it to you what the hell that is. It's called this, dielectric grease. Actually this is a gigantic tube. Usually it's in a tiny little tube. I have this thing for 8 million years. It takes a long time to use up because you only use a little bit, and it looks like a real clear grease. What it does is it keeps the electrical connector from rusting and corroding right where these bolts go through to the frame, because that's going to be hit with a lot of water and it'll rust. And it has the star washers on it, but I'm going to put a bunch of dielectric grease on it, and hopefully that'll keep it from screwing up. I'll probably put a little bit of weather strip adhesive, the black stuff, over that too, to seal it out from the water so it doesn't rust. So if this regulator is making a really good connection to the frame and it stays that way, and I'm using several freaking star washers, like in other words, there's going to be a star washer on this side of the regulator, one on this side, and then on the opposite side where the nut goes through, to the other side where it connects to the frame. So there's going to be like 3 star washers on each bolt with dielectric grease. I'm going to put some that black weather strips adhesive on it, because what I figure what happens with these bikes, it's probably not the electronic components that are failing. What's going on is with these regulators, this thing's sitting right in front of the bike, right? Here, it's sitting right in front of the bike, so it's catching all the crap from the wheel. You're out there, even if there's a little bit of water on the ground, this wheel is throwing up all kinds of crap in there. And you wash the bike, but it's not getting in this little nook and cranny where the thing's making contact. If this regulator starts getting it gets a little corrosion here and it's not making very good ground, it'll burn itself out. That's a guarantee. It will burn itself out. So using a dielectric grease and several places with the star washer, and putting some black weather strip adhesive over it, it makes it watertight. That should make it last for years. And then I don't think the electronic components wear out. I think it's a matter of something not making good contact that causes them to burn out. So I want to point that out. And this applies to any bike. Pretty much all these regulators are supposed to be grounded. That's how they work. And yeah, I don't have a clutch shell out here, but I might have one someplace without the magnets on it. But if I have to get one, I'm going to get the one. I have one in here that has a the magnets are encased in a nylon basket. They're not supposed to come loose, but they have a better one out, and that was done by a machine shop. But now they have another one out that has a non-magnetic stainless steel ring all around the clutch shell inside, so the magnets cannot come loose. They can never come loose. And it comes with a new bearing, because the clutch shell bearing can actually wear, and it can make some wobble on the clutch shell, and that can hit the stator. I will get one of those and a cycle electric stator versus getting any other types of aftermarket. I'm going to make a recommendation. From what I've been reading, if you use cycle electric components, they're more money. You're not going to have problems. If you have it installed correctly, you're not going to have problems. And the other thing I'm going to point out is like the same thing I did with the that other connector. These connectors are also a pain in the ass. These 2 pins, make sure they're clean. And when you put them on, I'm going to run a zip tie, one of those plastic zip ties from this end around through this end. I'll show you what I mean. See, this thing holds together tight, because I'm realizing it's either these grounds get corroded, or something pulls apart, or something gets water in here and it shorts out. That's what's causing these things to fail. I don't think it's the components themselves. But if you put this in right and use cycle electric components, I don't think you'd ever have a problem. I think that would make it stone cold reliable. And usually when I do something, I don't mess around. I like having things beyond reliable, not the way it came from the factory, the way it should be. That's the way I like doing things. Well, it's the new part just came in. It's the voltage regulators from it's a chrome one, right? Big deal. But this was a chrome one too, so you know this is what happens with them. This was a polished one. God, they don't last, man. They don't stay shiny long when you're using them in the rain. Now it's from Drag Specialties. Usually it's a name I pretty much trust, but again, you know, made in China, right? I don't know. It's probably okay. But the next time I buy one of these, this was about $60. The one from Cycle Electric is practically double that price, and it's not because they're overcharging you, it's because of the quality. So what I think happens is not only the ground, like say for instance if the battery's screwed up or something, it's calling for a lot more electricity all the time because it can't hold a charge. This thing probably runs hot, you know, and then you know stuff made by Cycle Electric probably can handle a lot more heat and stuff like that and vibration, so that's what screws up electrical components. So in certain aftermarket worlds, you get what you paid for, you know. Sometimes, but I'm going to say this again, when they stick the word Harley-Davidson on it, you don't necessarily get what you pay for. As a matter of fact, if you could put together a bike from scratch with everything aftermarket and it was just like a Harley and nothing came from Harley, you're probably better off, you know. That's my opinion on that. So you know, the Harleys are good, but it's the aftermarket that really makes them good. Okay, the regulator is bolted on there with a bunch of star washers and electromotive grease, and so it should have good contact to stay that way. And attached to one wire onto the string, and I just got to pull it up through here now. So I pulled up the wire through the, you know, wherever the hell it was routed through, and I just got to put the end on it. Okay, so I put the end on the wire, electromotive grease, another star washer, clean up all the contacts in there really good, make sure it's tightened down. Now with this thing, you're supposed to push it back into this slot here, but I found sometimes if you're pulling the battery out a lot, you can see this red wire is attached to the battery here, and if the battery gets pulled, you can pop this out, you know, this thing out, and then it can short up against the frame. So what I do is I wrap it up with some of this very, very heavy electrical tape. It's not electrical tape, it's racer's tape. It's all rubberized. It's totally insulated. Then I put a plastic tie around it, so this thing can bang into anything, and it doesn't have a problem where if you're pulling the battery out, you're not gonna. It's already popped out. It's not going anywhere. So this turns out to be better. Just a stupid little tip I do. And make sure the stator plug is plugged in. And I still gotta like put the little ties around here to the frame and stuff like that. But I'm gonna check out the voltage and see if it's okay. I don't know if it is. It should be. The stator's a little low, but I'm assuming this is the only thing that could be wrong. Okay, bike's off obviously, and you can see it's got a way full charge, 12.7 volts. Start it up. Alright, second time I put the high beams on. Still got a charge, so it should be alright. It should be alright. There's enough capacity in there to work it. And you see the stator plug. I put you know, the zip ties, whatever the hell you want to call those. There's plastic ties around it, and I use a yellow one to show it's on there. And then I make sure everything's really secured good to the frame. Alright, so that's the way I do stuff. It's just a little extra attention to detail. Usually when you have an electrical problem, it's because of severe weather and stuff like that. So you're making sure this is all tightened up. This is not a very good electrical connector, and I got other things you could buy in the aftermarket that hold this together, but this is just how I do it. It doesn't come out when you do this. Doing this, spending 2 more minutes here and there, doing these stupid little things with electromotive grease and stuff, makes a big difference how long it'll last. Yeah, when I also saying I'm going to set up something right here. I saw it on eBay. There's a little gauge about that big, about that wide, maybe stands up maybe a 1/2 inch. Should fit right in here. It's black, and it's got different color, like it's like as it goes from like 10.5 volts to 15 volts or something, and it goes from I don't know what the colors are. It's like yellow to orange to red, whatever. So as you're riding along, you're going to see, you know, what the charge of the battery is, if it's charging or if you're just running off a battery. Now I could tell at night, because when I'm at an idle, the light will be a little less, the headlight. But in the daytime, you're not going to know. And you know, if you look around, most bikes don't have any kind of indication if the freaking thing's charging or not. That thing's only 20 bucks. Some of them are like a lot more money. But all you'd have to do is hook it to the ignition switch, and I'm going to hook that up, do a video on it. I'm going to probably have like a lightweight fuse and protect it. And that'll work perfect for this bike, because you never want to know when these things go. They just go out all of a sudden. That's what happens.